Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Piglet here once again, and I'm back for some more of the Mecha Toys videos, and also to addition to Sonic's Game Gear Marathon. So anyways, welcome back to my Let's Play of Sonic Chaos for the Sega Game Gear, for Sega Master System, if you know of what version you'll be playing. Yeah. So last time we managed to actually explore through Turquoise Hill Zone, and also Gigaropolis Zone, and even Sleeping Egg Zone, so even then though that, and at the same time, we managed to grab all 5 of these Chaos Emeralds. Well, we're gonna get the last one until at the very end of the game. Don't worry, we will eventually gonna get the best endings, even though that will definitely going to happen. So, anyway, so as far as I established earlier, that the reason why I'm not going to be talking through Tails' playthrough on this is probably because of how the fact that, well, first things first, he doesn't have the ability to actually collect Chaos Emeralds, and secondly, you probably noticed that Tails gets automatically the good endings, even though that's something I won't able to show this off, I'm afraid, so even though that I will promise you guys I will discuss how Tails actually worked as in this game. But even then though, that we will eventually get to it one day. So anyways, so today for this episode, we're about to continue on and move on to the 4th zone in the game, as you can clearly see on the title, on this little title card in the level select, or in this case the level starts, is called Mecha Green Hill Zone. Wait a minute, does that sound familiar to you with the Green Hill word on there? Well, truth be told this time around though, is the fact that everything else is entirely metallical, so even then though, that you can see the metal variations of the, the trees, or the plum trees, I should say. And even especially noticeable that every single ground base on that Green Hill Zone environment is actually feels metallical this time around. So everything else is made out of metal, basically. So even then, that's why I usually calls it, Mecha Green Hill Zone. So even then, I actually really like this version of Green Hill Zone because, it acts out very differently, which I kind of wish it has more likely this environment than the likes of the fresh, anything else would be desirable, really. I have to admit that. But anyways, I apologize for this really lack of dialogue or anything like that. That's only because, there's not much else I can talk through. So even then, yeah. Anyways, that's out of the way, and now we move on to Act 3 of Mecha Green Hill Zone. But even then, though, that I can say that because we can now move on to the boss. So, anyway, so how it works for Tails in that game is the fact that, obviously that, I did not notice there was a bottomless pit, and it starts to kill me. So even though I need to actually be probably careful my, timing my jumps and whatnot, so just in case I need to be super precise. And conveniently enough though, folks, this is going to be the final part of this Let's Play. I'm not kidding when I was saying this, because even then though, unlike the ones in Sonic 1, and especially noticeable in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, both on the Game Gears, that some of these games can get really short, yes, but ultimately, dang it, I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back in here once again, and it turns out I managed to realize about something. There's actually an item box in the top there, which usually contains 10 rings. So anyway. So here we go, folks, on to the next boss in this game, which actually forms up this little, weird-looking, coconut tree type of robot. Now, if you ever play the Master System version, there's actually a difference between the Game Gear version and the Master System version. You can actually fight him when there's, like, no obstacles in sight in the Game Gear version. Whilst in the Master System version, it was actually formed up you actually have to fight him when there's 2 spikes. Even then, that's another difference between the Game Gear and the Master System versions, even though I want to point things out right about now. So, anyways, that concludes Mecha Green Hill Zone out of the way. And now we move on to the 5th zone in Sonic Chaos, known as Aqua Planet Zone, which is more accurately a combination of Labyrinth Zone from Sonic 1 and also Aqua Lake Zone from Sonic 2. Because I say that because I say Aqua Lake Zone from Sonic 2 is that much like how it does on that zone, if you manage to do a spin dash once you go towards the water, I'm assuming you're actually going to do a skimming technique. So even then though, I'm afraid I can't actually show you guys right now at the moment, but I will eventually at some points in the area. But of course, much like how it does in Sonic 1, and especially noticeable in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, if you manage to get hit once you're in underwater, that sometimes gravity can get really wonky in areas. So even then, that's how it usually goes. As far as I'm aware, though, that this level is much shorter compared to how it does in Lapworm Zone, and especially Aqua Lake Zone. Well, except for the first act in, you know, Aqua Lake Zone Act 1, because even then, though, that you can actually breeze through this level for about under 35 seconds or less. So, anyway, though. But I digress, though. So even then, though, we don't have to worry about these Chaos Emerald system anymore, because even then, though, we got exactly 5 Chaos Emeralds before the actual best ending of the game. So even then, though, that this should be swell. So yeah, as far as when you actually play as Tails in Sonic Chaos, that's all he does is that he basically functions the same thing as Sonic the Hedgehog 3. At least that game did manage to... Well, more accurately, this game did manage to came out before Sonic the Hedgehog 3 came around. But even then, what Tails can do is that he can actually able to have the ability to fly. But in order to actually perform a flight ability on this game, especially Sonic Triple Trouble as well, but even then, that Mickey Mouse will definitely going to get into that during that time period. But even then, though, that's all you have to do is you're gonna have to basically like press the D-pad up, and then eventually just have to press the jump button. Hopefully, you can actually just fly. So even then, that's all you're really trying to do here. So a little bit awkward, and at the same time, it might be a little bit slower compared to how it does in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Which even then, until Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Mega Drive, that Tails doesn't fly. Well, at least if you ever played the Christian Whitehead version, that Tails can actually fly on that version. Which even then, in the original version, that he doesn't simply fly. Although the only time he can fly is when you actually have a thousand ally with you with Sonic. So anyway, though. So yeah, we're breezing through this game quite ridiculously fast though, ladies and gentlemen, because as far as I'm aware, because you know, this game is super duper short, and even then though, you can actually breeze through those. Some of these levels can get really quickly, and also at the same time short. But even though I usually spend this level for about a minute and 12 seconds, which is fine by me. So anyways, I got myself a Tails picture panel, which I believe that allows you, can give you a extra continue, which even then though, that I'm afraid my continue system is pretty much full up at the moment, Tails, so even then there's nothing I can carry up to more accurately 5 continues or more. So I'm pretty much fine with 4 continues from now on though. But anyway, so anyways, here we are to Aqua Planet Zone Act 3. That's this is a zone I managed to got rage quit when I was a kid, because even then though, I've never seemed to bypass this level, because the only thing that makes it tricky though is that the ultimate challenge in these boss battles in particular is that you have to deal with these bosses within no rings. So even then that's why I usually done it back in the day. But thankfully though, I managed to find these tons of secrets in this level, so even then that should be suggested. So so the Aqua Planet Zones boss is actually forms up. It's pretty interesting. Is that much like how it does it in Sky High boss in Sonic 2, is that you have to get rid of these little birdie millions in order to actually do it. And then if you do it with all these bird enemies right there, then you're able to actually face off this real face. Now, this particular guy is actually pretty easy because you can now actually jump onto its head multiple times. But the difficult part about this fight though is that the final part of the actual fight, because all you have to do, you have to like dodge these bird missiles, and as soon as his bottom part actually shows up, then it's your chance to actually just attack this last point. Well, thankfully though, it only counts as only 1 hit, so even then that's if you destroy that, then Aqua Planet Zone is done. So even then I can now move on to the final zone in the game. In this case, zone number 6, Electric Egg Zone. So, this is potentially the hardest level in the game, because even then, much like how it does it in Scrambled Egg Zone, yes, I say Scrambled Egg Zone, because this zone is more accurately the spiritual sequel to Scrambled Egg Zone, because even then, well, ever since Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Game Gear, because basically you have to do, they accidentally fall off to the pits. That's terrific. So, anyway, the reason why I say this is actually a spiritual sequel to Scrambled Egg Zone from Sonic 2, because you have to deal with these a lot of tubes, which much like it does in Scrambled Egg Zone, that you have to press the correct spotting buttons, you know, the 4 face buttons, the directional pad, in order to actually just lead you to its different spots of the level. So even then, that Sometimes it can either help you, while other times it doesn't seem to help you for most instances. So even then though, that can be rather annoying at times, which even then though, especially knows about that if you want to actually like, since you're going to have to deal with this in the Game Gear screens, and even then though, it makes it twice as hard to see what's up ahead. Which even then though, this is pretty situational of how the fact that you're going to die a lot in this level at times, especially noticeable how the fact that since you're going to be doing this on the Game Gear screen. Well, thankfully though in the Master System version, they can actually deal with these stuff no problem. But the Game Gear version, good luck with that, because much like in Sonic 2 Scrambled Egg Zone, that sometimes these tubes can either lead you to the bottomless pit, while other times it can lead you to a death situation. So even then though, that could be a little bit of a problematic though. Let's go say that much right now. So anyways, now we move on to Electric Egg Zone Act 2, where right off the bat though, their spring was actually at the beginning of the level. So anyway though, but as long as the fact that I don't have to worry about the special stages anymore, because even then though, there are, you know, realistically, there are a grand total of 5 special stages in the entire game. But even then though, let's go say that much right now, and I'm pretty sure we don't have to worry about collecting those Chaos Emeralds again, so even then though, that should be worth a while. So, yeah, I digress though. So a few things I want to mention about this is that we actually got ourselves a week left until Sonic Mania decides to come out on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and the PC version as well. Which I have to say, I was really excited for Sonic Mania right now, because first things first, I didn't jump my leaps of faith. I presume that particular leap of faith it did manage to fail, but hopefully I can give it another shot. So anyway though, another thing is worth mentioning though is that this game, much like how it does in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, this game doesn't have checkpoints. Even then though, if you're having a really hard time in the level, then you have to redo the whole level again, which even then though, that kind of feels a bit buggy throughout. But again, since this game is really shorter compared to Sonic 1 and 2, so even then though, that we managed to breeze through those levels quite really fast. So apart from those side of things, that's all that we can think of. So anyway though, so yeah, I was really excited for Sonic Mania now, because even then though, that they've now managed to showcase off the special stages in that game this time around, which even then, that it seems pretty cool nonetheless, because especially noticeable that how the special stages in Sonic Mania this time around was actually fully in 3D, which I was super impressed about it. And another thing is worth mentioning, dang it, I'll be right back. Okay, quick go right there, so even then though, that I have to actually desperately need to try to do a successful attempt, which even then though, that I was in the really bad situation when it comes to platforming sections, because you know, sometimes you have to deal with screen crunch, even though it's always a little bit of a hard time when you have to try to actually bypass those certain sections. So anyway, so yeah, these special stages in Sonic Mania was entirely in 3D this time, so even though it does remind me like I was playing through Sonic CD all over again, but except the fact that we're not chasing except we're not going to take down the UFOs this time around. You have to chase that one UFO specifically that holds the Chaos Emerald. And even then though, that I was really excited to actually try that out. And the second thing that actually popped this up though is the fact that they did manage to showcase off the bonus stages in Sonic Mania. And it turns out it was actually based off from the special stages from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, which I have to admit that I thought it was going to be something almost entirely different, like the capsule system, all that stuff. Well, thankfully though, they did manage to put it in the blue spheres, which is about time, so even then though, yeah. I didn't manage to go back in here, shoot. So yes, now we move on to the final stage in the entirety of Sonic Chaos, in this case, the third act of Electric Egg Zone. So even then though, oh yeah, for that background music you're going to be hearing, that's actually based off of the intro sequence in the Master System version of Sonic Chaos, by the way. Because if you start that game up in the Master System version, you can basically hear this background music up. So even then though, you can probably tell that music, by the way. So anyways, this is by far the most difficult fight in the entire game. The reason why I say that, because, well, obviously since this is going to be the final boss in the game after all, which is easily Dr. Robotnik himself. Well, basically the ultimate challenge I find for this particular fight is the fact that you have to knock his head out. Or in this case, you have to attack its head like multiple times. Now, unlike in most final bosses in any Game Gear Sonic games that usually took about like, for instance in Sonic 1, he usually took about 10 hits to kill. While Sonic the Hedgehog 2 does have the tradition of 8 hit points. And especially noticeable that that boss fight can be a little bit dragged on in Sonic 2, because you have to be like waiting patiently. But I believe this guy only has like, I don't know how much hit points he actually got. Presuming he actually got ourselves 12 or 14, whatever it depends. So even though sometimes if you actually just want to keep your wings count alive, then good luck with when you're trying to fight him, because if you're trying to attack its metal point, it will not count as a hit. So if you think the boss battle's over yet, then you have to hit him one final time, and booyah, the final boss is entirely done. So let's chase down that Dr. Robotnik. And as soon as he actually leaves, then he occasionally actually pops in, much like how it does in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Game Gear. Once you defeat Silver Sonic, you manage to get yourselves the 6th and the final Chaos Emerald. So this is the good ending of Sonic Chaos, is that if you actually get yourselves 5 regular Chaos Emeralds due to the special stages, and you can get the final Chaos Emeralds right from the get-go if you manage to defeat the final boss in the game, much like Silver Sonic from Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that leads you to the Crystal Egg Zone in Sonic 2. Well, you don't get yourselves a extra zone in this game. See, Fernando, that this game actually stuck with, 6 zones in the game rather than 7 in Sonic 2. See, Fernando, pretty, suggestions, I suppose. See, Fernando, that in the good ending, as you can see, that Sonic is constantly, rolling around, exploring for the entirety of the Chaos Emeralds. See, Fernando, that actually represents the good ending of the game. Now, as far as the bad ending is concerned, that what happens was, though, is that if you don't collect 5 Chaos Emeralds before you get the only Chaos Emerald, which is essentially the 6th one, what happens was, though, is that Dr. Robotnik gets away. While he did manage to still got the Chaos Emerald, and he gets away, and then Sonic just like, curse you, Dr. Robotnik, I'll get you next time around. And then it just says try again. So even then, that's the only difference between the good ending and the bad ending of the game. So even then, that should be worthwhile. So overall, in Sonic Chaos, for the sake of Game Gear, I think this is easily one of the greatest Sonic games to be released on the Game Gear because it's entirely original compared to how it does it in Sonic 1 and 2. Well, usually it's this game is more likely slightly similar to Sonic 1 and 2, except they did manage to fix some of the improvements, the only ones I have with Sonic 1 and 2. First off, they did introduce the spin dash this time around, and also the difficulty is a little bit more balanced this time around, unlike in Sonic 2, because in Sonic 2's difficulty in the Game Gear version, it's actually really damn difficult, I have to say this much. And the second thing you actually know something right off the bat, though, is that you can now finally play as Tails in this game this time around, which I think is really good. And even then, though, despite that, however, though, it's actually a really good game. However, there are some issues I have with the game, is that there are multiple bosses that I'm not a big fan of, which is easily the robotic caterpillar boss I despise the most. And another thing is the final boss is easily the hardest fight in the game, but that's only because of that it all depends on the hit count. See, Fernando, you always have to hit on Robotnik's head multiple times in order to actually deal the damage. But apart from that, though, and also the final thing I have to point things out, though, is that this game is really short. See, Fernando, you can actually breeze through this game for almost about, I would say 30 minutes maximum, but even then, though, that you can actually breeze through this game for under an hour or so. So even then, that's all there's to say. So yeah, that was it, ladies and gentlemen. That was it for Sonic Chaos for the Sega Game Gear / Sega Master System. See, even then, though, that's all I can say about this here. So join me next time. Well, guys, tune in next time of the Sonic's Game Gear Marathon. Next up, it will be not Triple Trouble next, because next up it will be Sonic Spinball for the Sega Game Gear. Now you're probably thinking, what about Triple Trouble, you may asking? Well, you'll see until during the beginning part of the video. So even then, see you guys then. I'm Piglet, and until then,